Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to today's webinar, which is on UiPath Advanced Topics. My name is Ankit. So I'm an instructor here at Edureka. So I have a total of 10 years of experience into IT industry. So this is what the agenda for today. So we will be learning about what is RPA, what the different RPA tools we have in the market, introduction to the UiPath Studio, how to install UiPath Studio, and one of the important topics in UiPath, that is ReFramework. So we have a framework that is quite famous across all the RPA tools that we have in the market. And this is one of the robust framework when compared to all the frameworks that you have for RPA, that is RE framework. So we'll have a overview of what RE framework is and how you can have a understanding of that particular RE framework today. What is robotic process automation? So let's divide this robotic process automation into three different words, that is robotic, process, and automation. So let's start with automation first. So what is automation? So automation is some work. Okay, so some work or some activity that you want that to happen with minimal or without human intervention, without or with minimal human intervention. If you are trying to accomplish a task, if at all you want to complete a particular task with or without human intervention, with means with minimal human intervention or without human intervention, that's said to be an automation, right? So automation is that, but what is a process? Okay, what is a process? So process is set of activities that we do to accomplish a task. So the series of steps, okay, the series of steps that we follow to accomplish a task which leads to some meaningful activity, right? So that is a process. Generally, this process we refer to in IT industry as a business process, right? So we work for an industry and we will be deployed in one or the other project that we are working for a company, right? So we'll have a client, and for that client we will be working for a project, and that project is one of the business process of that particular client. We will be indirectly working for one of the business process of our client or customer, whatever we call, right? And what that business process is, it is again the series of steps that we follow which helps that particular client to run their business or generating the revenue, right? So these are set of activities that we do. So we go to office daily, open our mailbox, we'll get an input file from our client, so which will have multiple, like thousands of data. So we have to read that data in the Excel, and suppose you have a particular website or window application where you have to load this data taking from Excel, you can load that particular data there. So this is what generally you do when you enter the office, right? Just an example. So that is one of the business process of that particular company. So there is series of steps, step by step activity that you perform which leads to a meaningful activity. That is a process, right? So now this process in our example just we have looked into, right? So human is performing that activity, right? Human is performing that activity. Go to the email, read the email from your client, download the attachment, dump the data that you have into Excel in multiple websites or window based applications. A human is doing that, right? But automation, we are saying automation as like completing a particular task with minimal or no human intervention. Okay, so the work which is currently being done by human, then who will do it? I'm saying no humans, right? Then who will do that? So that work is done by robot here, right? So we call it as a robot, and robot is a software. Okay, so here robot is a software, not the one robot that we see in movies, right? So which is a complete mechanical machine, right? So that is not that robot here, which is kind of a hydraulic machine which does some work for you. Okay, if you see the manufacturing industry, the car manufacturing industry like BMW, Tesla, right? So we have multiple robots who help humans in manufacturing the cars. So this robot is not that robot. This is a software robot. This is a software. Why it is a software? Because we generally do work in IT industry. We generally do the work on a computer, right? On a computer we do the work. And what computer runs on apart from hardware? It runs on a software, right? So your operating system is a software. And what are the applications that you are using on your daily basis in your company? Either it might be Excel, Word, okay, whatever, PDF, whatever the files you are using, or whatever the ERP applications you are using. For an example, SAP is also an ERP application, right? So that is again a software. We generally do work on a software, and the work which is done by humans on that particular software, we need another software which mimics whatever you are doing. Whatever the manual thing that you are doing on daily basis, there should be a software which has capability of mimicking what the human is doing, and that is robot, guys. That is the robot. So robot is a software which has capability of mimicking human actions. Okay, so the robot is this. So process, we already talked about. It is a set of activities which leads to a meaningful activity, right? Set of steps, sequence of steps that we follow. Then automation, with or without human intervention. So putting all together, the robotic process automation is a use of a software, which we generally call it as a robot, which has the capability of mimicking human actions, which completes our work. That is set of sequence of steps that completes the sequence of steps that we do in our company with or without human intervention. So that is your robotic process automation. And guys, remember, this robotic process automation is not a software by itself. Robotic process automation is not a software by itself. It is a technology, right? So technology, a set of principles, set of guidelines. It is not a software. It is a set of guidelines. Robotic process automation, the technology says, okay, if at all you want to achieve automation in your company, if at all you want to achieve automation in your company, okay, so what all the guidelines, okay, a particular tool should have, what are the principles a particular tool should follow, right? So based on those principles, based on the principles of robotic process automation, okay, there are tools in the market, and these tools are actual softwares. These tools are the actual softwares, guys. RPA is not a software by itself, but based on the principles of RPA, these are the tools that are built in the market, and these are the software tools. Okay, so there are many tools, 20 plus tools in the market, and among all these tools, these are the popular tools that we have in the current era: Automation Anywhere, UiPath, and Blue Prism. And when you compare these three, right, when you compare these three, now at this moment UiPath is leading the RPA market. Okay, so Automation Anywhere is also have a toughest competition. Okay, it is also a tough competitor for UiPath. Okay, but as of now, UiPath is leading the market with respect to RPA world. Okay, so then what is a UiPath? I told you, right? UiPath is one of the tool of RPA, which is a software. Okay, this is software. We have multiple components in UiPath using which you can design your automation. You can design your automation. You can design your business process. Okay, after which human efforts will be reduced. And this is what the market presence of UiPath currently we have. Okay, so this quadrant, you see the leaders quadrant here. Okay, so this is strong strategy and strong current offering. So when you compare these two quadrants, your UiPath is leading the way. And under leaders, you have Automation Anywhere, Edgeverb, and Blue Prism. Okay, so this is the Forrester Wave, okay, analysis of robotic process automation tools that we have in the market. And this is the one where the statement given by Deloitte, that UiPath ranks #1 fastest growing company. It is one of the fastest growing company, which is said by Deloitte. Okay, and UiPath is being used in these giants. These giant companies, right? Airbus, NASA, Autodesk, DHL, HP, and Fujifilm. So these are the biggest companies that are currently using the flavors of UiPath to automate their business process. Right now, how to install UiPath? So now we know, like, UiPath is a software, right? UiPath is a use of software which helps us to automate the business process. If it is software, we have to install that particular software on your system, right? Software runs on our system. So then we have to install UiPath into our system. How to install? Okay, so I'll guide you through how to install, right? So just go to cloud.uipath.com, right? So you have to navigate to cloud.uipath.com. You have to open your browser, cloud.uipath.com. Okay, and you have to sign up. Okay, so I'm already a sign up, so I've already signed up. So okay, so you will get a screen like this. Okay, you will get a screen like this if you are not part of UiPath Cloud. So you will get a screen like this. You can sign up using your Google, Microsoft, LinkedIn, or you can continue with the email. Okay, so you can do that, or you can fill the form. So there is a form which asks your details. Okay, either you can use your Google, Microsoft, LinkedIn, or you can use your email. Like this, you can provide your organization name, your first name, last name, region, email, and password. Check the terms and conditions, and you can click on sign up. So organization name, so I don't have any organization name, so what should I do? No problem, you can just give as NA also, not applicable. Fine. Okay, so once you are in, okay, once you are in, once you enter all these details, you will be getting into, so you will be you will be launched into cloud.uipath.com portal, where you will have multiple options. So you can continue with the existing organization. So what is organization, all these things will be covered in the course lecture, but this is the place where you land when you sign up for cloud.uipath.com. This is the place where you will end up with, and here you see download UiPath Studio. Okay, download UiPath Studio. This is the button which upon click it will download a software. Is here it is asking for a path where you have to store this .exe file software, right? So .exe file, executable file, application, just save it. So it will start download, and it's around 500 MB. Okay, so 500 MB of file will get downloaded for UiPath Studio. Okay, so once that is downloaded, okay, so I already have it. Okay, so once you have downloaded it, you just have to double click. Okay, you just have to double click here. So once your file is downloaded somewhere, and go to that path and just double click on it. Just double click on it, nothing else. Okay, so then it will automatically installs that software on your computer. You need not to even click on next, nothing. It will automatically install. Okay, and only at one point you will get an option to continue. That's it. You just have to click on that continue button, and your automation, your UiPath will get installed. Okay, and also apart from that, once the installation is done, you will get this screen. You will get this screen to select one of the option. So one is UiPath Studio Pro, UiPath Studio, and UiPath Studio X. UiPath Studio X is for your end business users. So this is not for UiPath developers. Okay, so this will have minimal basic things using which a business user also can automate a business process, but generally that will not happen. For UiPath developers, these are the two profiles they can choose from: UiPath Studio and UiPath Studio Pro. So what is the difference between these two? And just your user interface will have some advanced option. In UiPath Studio Pro, you will have some advanced options compared to UiPath Studio. So I would like you to select the UiPath Studio Pro. Okay, I would like you to select the UiPath Studio Pro because you will have all the options covered here. So here you will miss few options, but here you will have all the options covered, right? So once you select that, you will have this welcome screen. So this is the welcome screen of UiPath. So this is the studio. Okay, you can find that studio in your search. You can just type studio, and you will have UiPath Studio app. You'll have UiPath Studio app here. You can just click on it. If it is not opened, you can just click on it, and when you do that, it will land on this particular page, right? So what is this interface all about? What is this interface all about? So you can open an existing project. If you have already developed a project, you can just open that existing project, and these are the list of recently opened project. It will show all the list of recently opened project. If at all you want to design a project from scratch, new project, you don't have any project, you want to design a project from scratch, you can just click on this process. Okay, this is a new project, right? New project. Under new project we have process. So process helps us to design the project from the very scratch. It will have a plain template. Okay, I'll show you how that looks like. Library. Next is library. If at all you are planning to create a reusable bot, okay, we generally call it as a function or method, okay, or class. If at all you are designing that as a reusable component, you want to use that particular bot in multiple places, in multiple projects, then you can go with the library. Okay, template. Okay, template is a set of activities that you already have. For an example, okay, I'll open Word. So this is my Word file. When you open the Word, you will have a blank page, right, where you can write anything from scratch. But no, I would like to create my resume. I would like to create my resume, and I don't want to type everything from scratch. It would be good if I have some kind of template where I can just go and edit it, where I can just go and edit my information. For that, I can go here. Okay, when I click on new, so you have multiple templates here, right? So these are the templates. Okay, so and this is the resume here, kind of. Okay, so when I click on it, okay, so this is what it says. Okay, this is not the cover letter. So when I go to the resume here, resume section, yeah, you have here one of the resume. You have the headers and everything already given. Just you have to go here, type your name here, your job title, you have to upload your photo here. Under education, you have to give your school details here, okay, and work experience here. You have a proper template, right? You don't have to design that from scratch again, right? You don't have to open a blank Word document and give all these headers from the scratch, right? You already have this in a template where you have to just go and edit according to your information. So what does this do? What does this do? This will reduce your efforts. This will reduce your efforts in creation of resume, and the time taken will be less when compared to when you are designing your resume from the very scratch on a plain white Word document. The template is the same, guys. Okay, the template is the same. Okay, if at all you want to create a particular automation, where suppose you are working on multiple business process in your company, and your company is following some of the steps across all the projects. There are 10 steps in your company where your company is insisting you to follow those 10 steps across all the projects. Then you can create a template for that. Okay, so like your developer need not to incorporate those steps in all the projects from the scratch again. Create the template and use it, edit it according to your use. That's it. And UiPath has already delivered few templates. UiPath has already delivered few templates, and those are these. Okay, I click on more templates. You have these many templates. These many templates that are already given by UiPath, and in today's session we will go and look into robotic enterprise framework template. So that is a template. Okay, that is a template. Now when I go to start and click on the process, and I'll say webinar UiPath 2507 2021. Okay, the name of the project I'm giving. So this is the project I'm designing. When I click on this process, it says, you see, new blank process. I'm creating a new blank process, and every process should have a name. And this is the name of the process. Okay, webinar UiPath 2507-2021, and the location where you are storing your file or your automation. You can choose your location, you can change your location from here. Okay, also you can give the description, proper description. So this is a webinar on RE framework. Okay, I'm just giving the description, right? And you can select the languages, VB or C sharp. Okay, what is this? This VB or C sharp in entire project. Okay, if at all you are designing a complete project, there are few small snippets you have to write according to your business requirement. You have to write small pieces of code, not complicated. Okay, like you write if condition, else condition, right? Small things. The date format. Okay, conversion of string to integer. These kind of small things. In which language you would like to write, VB or C sharp? So that's what it's asking. Okay, then the target. So we have two types of studios. One is modern and classic. Okay, the classic is built on 461 .NET framework, whereas modern is built on .NET 5 Windows framework. Okay, so just click on create here. When you click on create, a new blank project will get created. Okay, so it will create a new blank project. You see here it says something restore dependencies. Every project when you create, it will download few default dependencies. Now it says creating workspace, creating the workspace where you can design your automation, right? Using all the drag and drop functionality. Using all the drag and drop functionality, you can design your automation, right? So now you see, when you created a project, so you will have the screen. Okay, so where is my project? You see here on the bottom, left. Let me just highlight it. So this is your project details. Okay, this is your project details. When you click on that particular project, you see here, this is the project that we have created, right? Webinar UiPath 2507-2021, right? So this is your project, and we have seen like it has downloaded few of the dependencies, right? So these are the dependencies: Excel, mail, system, UiPath. Okay, and every project will have main file. Every project will have a main file. From the main file, your execution will start. I double click on this main file. I just double click on the main file, and you see we have a complete blank project. It says drop activity here. Nothing. We just have a simple blank file. And using this blank file, you can design your automation according to your business requirement, right? This is your blank file. Using what you can design your automation? Using what you can design your automation? Using this activities. Just beside project, you have an activities tab. Using these activities, you can design your automation, and you have to learn these activities if at all you want to be a RPA UiPath developer. Okay, so there are many activities. Okay, so the activities which are related to app integration, computer vision, data, orchestrator, programming, UI automation, etc. We have so many things. Okay, so this is not it. So when I just click on this app integration, you have CSV, Excel, mail, and when you click on Excel again, so you have these many list of activities there. And again, you have processing in Excel, table in Excel. See how many activities you have. Likewise, every folder that is mentioned here will have list of activities which works with different application. So this Excel works with Excel. If at all you want to open an Excel, you have to use this Excel application scope. Likewise, okay, if at all you want to read the data from the Excel, you have to use this read range activity. Likewise, you will have multiple activities using which you can design your automation. Okay, and the automation that you created, you have to execute that automation, right? You have to execute that automation once the design is completely ready. You have to run that automation to perform the different activities or work. So that you can do by using this run file or run button. Okay, so you have multiple options here. So these options are generally used during your development process. Okay, and this is a ribbon. This we call it as a ribbon in UiPath, and ribbon will have multiple options. You can create a new file, new workflow from here. You can save your file. You can run your file from here, copy, cut, paste, all these things. You can do it. So this is your ribbon, and this is your project folder. So once you run the project, what is the output of the project? What will be the output of the project? That you can see in the output panel here. This is the output panel. So you can see the execution output, whether your execution has errored out or it is successful. All those things you can just have a watch on this output tab. Okay, and every activity, okay, every activity that you have here. Suppose I am dragging and dropping this click activity. Okay, so this is the click activity. Every activity will have set of properties. Will have set of properties that we have to configure to achieve the right automation, and that can be done using this properties tab. So we'll play among these tabs during the development process. We'll play among these tabs. Okay, so one is design, debug, okay, the project, activities, and this properties, variables, arguments, output panel. So all these things you will generally play with to design your complete automation. Okay, so this is the UiPath Studio, and this is the place where generally you design your automation. So clear about the user interface of the studio, how to install. So to install your studio, you have to go to cloud.uipath.com, register yourself there, and in the home page you will have download UiPath Studio. Once that is downloaded, you have to select the profile, Studio X, UiPath Studio or UiPath Studio Pro. You select any of the profile. So when you select UiPath Studio or Studio Pro, you will land on this page, that is this page, home page. And if at all you want to create a project from scratch, you have to click on the process. Once you click on that, it will ask you the project name, description, path, language, right? So that is the process. Library to create the reusable bot, template I already explained you, and the list of templates that we have. And one of the widely used template is robotic enterprise framework template. And when you go inside, so this is the blank workspace, and blank workspace you have from the project folder the main file. So execution will start from the main file. So when you open the main file, you don't have anything, it's completely blank. You can use the drag and drop activities that you have in the activities page. You can just drag and drop those activities to design your complete automation, and every dragged activity will have some properties to configure, and that you can configure using the properties window on the right. And your execution details you can have a watch on in this output window. So now when I opened the project, that is main file, right? When I opened this main file, it has given me the white blank space, right? It has given me the white blank space where I had nothing. The very first I had nothing, right? So I dragged and dropped this click activity. That's the reason why it was there, right? But when I opened this main file, I had this text, right? Drop activity here. That means I don't have any activity here because it is a blank project we have created. But I told you, right? When we open a template, it will have some predefined structure. Like your resume, it will have some predefined structure where you have to go and do some edits with respect to your project. You need not to create that from the scratch. So let's go and open one of such template, and that template is robotic enterprise framework. I'll just click on that and I'll give the name. I'll say RE framework underscore webinar. Okay, I'm just giving the name. And I'll just click on the create. Now you are creating a project using a template, but not, you are not designing a blank project here. Okay, you are designing a project using the template. Okay, and that template is RE framework. Okay, so RE framework, and these are some of the prerequisites to install UiPath in your computer. Okay, so at least you need to have 8 GB, but not necessary 8 GB. On 4 GB also it will work. And remember guys, it will work only with the Windows. Okay, you need to have a window operating system, and you need to have a .NET framework installed on your machine. Okay, .NET framework installed on your machine. So these are some of the prerequisites. Okay, so these things we have covered: process library, right? And UiPath Studio components. So that is the ribbon, and this is the activity pane, set of activities, output panel, properties, right? So why RE framework? So we know like framework is that framework, is a template. So why do we need that particular template to design your project? Okay, because see, generally when you design any programming or any project, okay, any project, we need to do proper error handling. We have to do the error handling. Likewise, when something is getting executed, if your program is giving error, if your program is giving error, unexpected error, how to handle that? Okay, how to handle that? So that exceptional handling, that is error handling part, is already taken care in this framework. Okay, already taken care in the this template. You need not to write the error handling code again. It's already taken care. Okay, and high extensibility. Okay, you can use this template for any kind of business projects. That is, if your project is a complex project, if your project is a complex project and you would like to design that with ease, okay, you would like to design that with ease, you can extend this RE framework to any such projects. Okay, reusability, we have many reusable components in that, in this RE framework, which helps us to reduce the coding efforts, which helps us to reduce the coding effort. And performance wise, okay, the, you know how the performance will increase when you write the optimized code, which works with all the type of data or all the type of applications. If you have a minimal code or minimal design, smallest part of design which works with multiple data, okay, so then you call it as a high performing design. And this RE framework is completely designed using this, you know standards, where it performs with minimal code, it does a lot of work for you. So these kind of things are easy to development. Okay, so ease of development, it reduces the effort of your development activities. Okay, and logging, proper logs you can have. Okay, so you will have a proper logs, like at what step what your project is doing. So it will write all the proper logs of a particular file. You can open that particular file and you can look into what exactly has happened. Okay, recovery abilities, that is, when some error occurred, when some error occurred during the process, your RE framework has the capability to recover from that particular error. Okay, recover and proceed further. So these kind of, you know um, advantages you will have with the RE framework. And generally when you are using UiPath in your company and your project is a complex project, definitely 90 to 95% of companies will use this particular framework. So that is the reason why this is a well-known framework. Okay, compared to all the tools, this is the best and well-known framework, right? So so what is RE framework? So again, we have seen it as a template, right? So template will work like this. First part is a setup part. Okay, first part is a setup. So your RE framework is divided like this. Okay, your RE framework entire concept, the execution concept, is divided like this. That is, first the setup, where you will do initialization of your applications. Suppose your project, in your project you are working with Excel. Okay, you are working with some web-based application. Okay, you are working with multiple applications. So first what you will do is you will initialize those applications. That is reading the data from the Excel, opening that particular website. Okay, suppose you have some files to get deleted before start of the process. You will delete those files. All the setup before actual start of the process, you have to do some setup. That is environment setup, we call it as environment setup. Where again you read the input data, initialize all the applications that you are working with. So all those will happen in the setup stage. Okay, so then once the setup is completed, loop for loop among the data that you have. Suppose you want to work with the multiple data, and that data you have in the Excel 100 rows. You have 100 rows in the Excel. One by one row you have to process, you have to fetch one by one row and enter that into some application. Enter that into some application. So then you have to iterate. So this is the iterator. Second part is the iterator. First is setup, next is iterator. Once the row is fetched on which you have to work, right? You can perform the action on that particular retrieved row. Setup, okay, initialization of applications. So here in the setup only you will read the data that is required for your processing. So you will have bulk data in the setup. From that bulk data you will retrieve one by one the data, one by one in the row manner. Okay, one by one you will retrieve that in this iterator. Once you retrieve that a single piece of data, you will perform some action for that particular data. You will perform some action on that retrieved data. So this is the format of your RE framework, and we call this RE framework, okay, a modular approach framework. Okay, modular approach. That is, you divide your requirement into multiple pieces. You divide your complete execution process or your business requirement into multiple pieces, and you will go about designing that business process. Okay, so that is your RE framework. So how to use RE framework and what is the architecture of RE framework? This is the architecture of your RE framework. Now I have opened that in my studio, right? So this is the studio. I have opened the RE framework. I'll go to the project, and you see here I have main.xaml. So previously when I double clicked on that main.xaml, I have got the plain project, right? I have got the plain project. But when I double click on this main, which is RE framework webinar, we have created that using the template. I'm opening the main file. You see here the main file is not blank. The main file is not blank here. You have set of activities. You have set of activities. So what do we have here? Initialization. So this part is initialization. We called as a setup, right? Where you do all the initialization, reading of data, deleting unwanted files, closing unwanted applications. All those things will happen here. Initialization state. When I double click on it, okay, you see here init all applications. That means you can open whatever the applications you want here. Okay, when I just click on this open workflow, see what it says. Let me just zoom a bit so that you can see it. See what it says. Open applications used in the process. Okay, whatever the applications you want to use in your process, open those applications here and do not necessary initialization procedure. Okay, so do necessary initialization procedure. That is, open the application and do the login. That's what it says. Okay, that means make ready. So make your application ready for processing of data. Make your application ready. That means you can launch your applications here, you can do the login part, everything you can do it here. Okay, so that is your initialization. Init all applications. So all those kind of activities you can do here. Initialization. When your applications are initialized without any error, that means your applications are opened, you have logged into that applications without any issues, so then it will come to get transaction data. When it is successful, you see here, this is a graphical representation, complete graphical representation. If this initialization is successful, if this initialization is successful without any issues, it will go and fetch the data. We saw, right, loop. Okay, iterator. So this is the iterator. Get transaction data is the iterator. This part will fetch you the data one by one from the bulk data that you have. Okay, this is the iterator. Now the initialization phase, from the initialization phase, it will go to that iterator when all the applications are initialized successfully and you have logged into that application successfully, then only it will come here. If there is any error while initialization of applications, if you have any error, that will just end the process. Why it ends the process? Because without that application, okay, without that application you cannot enter the data, right? If you have a web application where you want to enter the data and suppose your login failed, user ID and password is incorrect, it has failed, so why there is a need of going and iterating the data and processing that data? If you are not logging in properly, where you will go and enter the data, right? So that is the reason why if any error occurs, it will go to the end process. It will go to the end process, and in the end process it will close all the applications. Okay, it will close all the applications and it will make your environment clean, right? So no errors in my initialization. I don't have any errors, so it is going to the iterator. This get transaction data will fetch the data one by one. Okay, so one line of data that is fetched, that is one row of data that is fetched, it will go into this process transaction. That means, see here, new transaction data, that means new row. If this get transaction, if this iterator is fetching a new row, it will go and process that row. Now if all the rows has been processed, suppose you have an Excel 10 rows, all the 10 rows are processed successfully, that means no data, you will have no further data. If there is no data, it should also go and end the process. In this case, if there any error occur, it should end the process, and if there is no further data for execution, you have to end the process. Okay, so that is what the iterator do. It will fetch a new row for the processing. If the new row is fetched, it will go and do the processing here. Like suppose I told you, right, so entering data into the website. Okay, entering data into the website. So that entering of data into the website will happen here. Opening and logging part will happen here in the initialization, but entering data into that application, that is, you have some text boxes where you have to enter the data and click on submit. So that part will happen here. That part will happen here. Okay, so iterator will give you the data and this process transaction will enter the data into your application. And you see here there are multiple things that are going here. Okay, if the process is successful, suppose you have entered the data successfully. Okay, if you have entered the data successfully, it will go to the iterator again. Okay, you see here the success box here. If that is success, it will go back to the get transaction data to fetch the new data. Okay, to fetch the new data. And while processing the particular data, if at all you have any error, it will skip that error data and it will go and fetch the new data. Okay, and if there is any, suppose your application is crashed, your website is crashed, it will go again to the initialization state. So this arrow, when your application is crashed, it will go again to the initialization state, and then it will try to initialize all the applications again. So where do we have the initialization of application? In the initialization phase. So here it will go and initialize the applications again. So these are the error case. Okay, so these are the error case, but let's concentrate only on success. So when this process is successfully, this transaction is successfully processed, it will go to the iterator again. It will fetch the new transaction. If it has the new transaction, it will come here and does the process again. If no, if there is no data, it will go and end the process. So this is how your RE framework will work. Okay, initialization, getting the data in the iterator, processing that data. So once that data is processed, it will go and fetch the data again If there is no data, it will go and end the process. This is the RE framework, one of the important framework that you have in the RPA tool. That is UiPath or any RPA tool that we need. So clear, guys? This is just the overview. Okay, so we have to spend a lot of time to understand RE framework because this is the complex framework. We have so many things inside it. We have so many activities, so many things inside it. Okay, but this is just the general overview and outline of RE framework. Okay, and this is what is given here. Okay, so initialization set init, get transaction, process transaction, and end process. Okay, any state, get transaction data state, process transaction, and end process. Thanks for your time. Have a great day ahead. Thank you so much.